Alright, Joe here, welcome back to We Need to Talk. This is the show that looks at football on the internet over the past 7 days. The 7 days that has seen Phil Neville get burned by a spoon.
After kidding me, there was a foul, it was fine, it was...
Antoine Griezmann tell Alexandre Lacazette that he sold him to Huddersfield. And Jose Mourinho reveal his top 4 predictions.
Man City, Tottenham, Liverpool and Man City beat him.
Anyway, this week we need to talk about Adil Rami. Yes, it's the man that kept Aymeric Laporte, the Manchester City central defender, out of the 2018 World Cup winning France squad. The man that was dumped by Pamela Anderson as she described him as a monster, but we're not going to go into that. He's made headlines yet again. That's because he has been sacked this week by his parent club Marseille for what can only be described as one of the most ridiculous reasons in football history. I'm going that far. This guy, oh Lord, what is he thinking? You might remember a couple of months ago on this show we were talking about Keita Balde, who had effectively been let go by Inter Milan. They weren't interested in taking his loan up on a permanent option because he had injured himself on an Italian prank TV show. Well, Adil Rami has somehow trumped him. He failed to show up to training after appearing on Fort Boyard. If you weren't around in the 90s, here's what this show is all about.
Lady and Mr. Pooh.
Now, Adil Rami appeared on the show when he was meant to be at training. He was apparently injured and should have been in rehab that day. He claims he texted the then Marseille manager, Rudy Garcia, to say, I'm not going to be in training today because I'm instead going to be on Fort Boyard. Marseille are saying that text was never sent. They've sacked him. They're not happy with him, and it's easy to see why. They're kicking off about him aggravating injuries. I mean, he was mud wrestling on the show. Look at the state of him here. This is 33-year-old Adil Rami, by the way, coming towards the end of his career. He should be making the most of the last few years he's got at the top of the game, because this is no pony club. This is Marseille, a top-level side, and he is throwing it all away to go on. You can be 65 and go on Fort Boyard. There's no age limit. It's not even the TV version. They've got a YouTube channel called Fort Boyard Officiel. They've uploaded it there. To be fair, 300,000 views. Wouldn't mind that on this episode, so if you don't mind sharing it and stuff, you know, we do need the CPM. Get that up, please. Thank you. I'm pretty much lost for words about this story. I want to know if you think this is the most ridiculous decision ever made by a footballer, to throw away the end of his football career for Fort Boyard's YouTube channel. Fort Boyard's YouTube channel. Could have at least made a video with the Sidemen. Would have definitely trended then. Every single week. I'm definitely not jealous. Moving on to the good, the bad and the ugly. The good is all about Mo Salah, who has been beating up small children yet again. He hasn't actually. This is all about him and Lee Fowler. Lee Fowler is an 11-year-old Liverpool fan who was chasing Mo Salah's car to try and get a photo and accidentally ran into a lamppost, leaving him with a bloodied nose. Mo Salah eventually got out of the car, looked after him, took a photo. Let's hear from little Lee about the experience.
I just bumped into this lamppost and then I fell on the floor, and Mo Salah actually stopped. So Salah said to me to please watch out, I don't need to get hurt, and saying all this about I need to be safe because he was really worried about me. So then I just said, I'm sorry, it's because I love you, and then we just got a picture together.
Moving on to the bad, this one involves Mesut Ozil and Sead Kolasinac. Of course, you saw that video a couple of weeks ago where Kolasinac fought off knife-wielding robbers with his bare hands before driving away. Well, this story has taken yet another twist. Well, the pair are now caught in the middle of a gangland turf war. Of course, they couldn't travel to Newcastle away last week because of fears about their safety after more criminals threatened to rob everything the pair had after the CCTV had been leaked. Well, the pair are now being protected by another mob, stood outside their house like Nico Bellic.
Nico, it's Roman. Let's go bowling.
And the players will now get full police protection despite returning to training this week. They should be back for the weekend's game against Burnley. Either way, how have they somehow got themselves into a gang dispute? Sead Kolasinac, he doesn't care, does he? Hard as nails. And the ugly this week involves Tammy Abraham, who was the subject of racist abuse on social media after missing his penalty in the Super Cup penalty shootout against Liverpool. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So many players have missed penalties. Thankfully, most of the footballing community has come out in support of him. We've seen loads of players from Jesse Lingard to Marcus Rashford all giving support to Tammy Abraham. It's just outrageous. There's no need for it. Players have missed penalties in bigger situations than the European equivalent of the Community Shield. Leave the lad alone. It's ridiculous. So that's the end of this week's episode of We Need to Talk. If you enjoyed this, make sure you head over to EuroFootball Daily. There's much more serious talking points than Adil Rami on Fort Boyard being discussed over there by Chris, by Patrick, and by somebody that's filling in for the place of Doogie Critchley. I don't know who it is yet, but you should watch that anyway. You can also go and watch Stat Wars, the league this weekend. It's me versus James Wayne. Not the best showing from myself, I'll have to be honest. Either way, thanks very much for watching. Goodbye.